All right, welcome to the next workshop, Speed Dating PT School Edition. So like I said, some of these PT school websites are absolutely terrible with their information. It's like literally a scavenger hunt to try to find stuff here and there. If you have any questions going along, you can feel free to unmute yourself and just speak up because I don't really check the chat as I'm going. But yeah, so this is just all the schools in Texas and like some of their basic requirements. So let's get started. All right, so options. I looked it up. There are 15 schools to choose from in Texas, which is pretty good. We have a pretty good pool to look at and to consider when coming to make a list of what schools to apply to, what schools to look at, what schools to tour at. So simply put, I put every school's GPA requirements, GRE, letters of recommendation, the hours for observation, and then the location of each school. So that's the standard for every school that I looked up and did some research on. And then I also provided some extra facts about the school, kind of like to lure you in, kind of shift your interest, make it stand out from other schools that I'm going to be talking about today. So the first program, Army Baylor. So this one is in San Antonio, Texas. So keep in mind, this is going to be local. So if you're from San Antonio, if you move to San Antonio and you don't feel like moving again, this is one of your options to look at, Army Baylor. They require a 3.25 GPA or more. The GRE, they specify the scores in each section. So some schools are very specific on what they want for each of the sections of the GRE. Others kind of just ask for like a total score of 300. Army Baylor asked for a 148 in your math section and a 152 in verbal, overall a 300, and then a 3.5 for the writing section. So like I said in my 15 tips, it's really important to polish your verbal skills. So your vocabulary, your comprehension skills, because most schools do look at a higher verbal score than your math score. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so letters, they asked for 3 letters of recommendation. So one from a physical therapist and one from a professor and then one from someone else. Like I said in my 15 tips, I recommend getting one from a physical therapist, one from a professor, and one from a supervisor. Observation hours, 100 hours. And just remember that you want to make sure you get it in a different variety of clinics. It's great if you stay in one clinic, get 100 then and there, but in the long run, you want to get hours where you'll get the most experience, most observation benefit out of it. So that's Army Baylor. So here's a little picture of them. So why me? What's nice about the Army Baylor program is that they pay their students to go to school. So this is a program affiliated with the military. So exchange for them paying you to go to the PT program, you're going to give them service after in the military. So with that comes 90 months of active duty service obligation. All tuition is covered, like I said, and then on top of your tuition being free, you do get paid, I believe, on a month-to-month basis. I'm not entirely sure on that, so don't quote me on that. The only thing that can be a little hard to do is just meeting the medical and fitness guidelines that the military would require. So this means like a really in-depth background check. You have to be in shape and then meet their medical guidelines. So in each of these slides, I do have a QR code that'll take you to the websites if you're more interested in that. So that's Army Baylor. Next is Angelo State. This school is located in San Angelo, Texas. They require 3.5 GPA or more. So this one's a little more higher than most schools. I believe most schools, physical therapy schools, require 3.0 at minimum. So this is on your little higher GPA side. You need a minimum GRE score of 280, which isn't bad. They don't specify the exact score. So keep that in mind. If you're a little worried about your GRE score, maybe consider Angelo State because they just require 280 flat, which is pretty achievable. Letters, you need 3 letters of recommendation, observation hours 50. And then a side note for this school, they do require an additional essay. It's like, I believe it's 500 words, really short. So why me? There's scholarships available for admitted students. The in-state tuition is $38,000, and then the graduation rate is 88. The license pass rate is 99%, which is really high, which shows that this program is very successful in making sure that their students understand the material and then do get their license so they didn't go to school for nothing, you know? The only downside about this program is that it's very competitive. Only 28 students are accepted. I will say San Angelo, a lot of people don't really consider it because of the location, but as of recently, San Angelo has been improving with their medical center, so it's a growing program. I think I was talking to one of the physical therapists I work with, and they're saying, yeah, like San Angelo is becoming a hot spot. It's going to grow. The program's possibly going to get, it's probably going to get a lot bigger too, and very much focusing on more experience and more observation with different realms of like the medical world. So there's the QR code if you need a little picture of like their facilities, some students working, practicing manual therapy and everything. The next school is Hardin-Simmons. This is located in Abilene, Texas. The GPA I could not find anywhere. If you can't find their GPA, I would always just shoot for 3.0 and higher. Like for me, I always just wanted a 3.5. Like if I stayed at 3.5, I'm good. I feel like that's pretty good. The GRE, they require a 148 in both sections. Letters of observation, I could not find either. I would just stick to the three: a supervisor, a physical therapist, and a professor. Observation, they had two different options for you. You could do 40 hours total in two different settings, or 100 hours in one setting. Just a side note on the observation, this is like the minimum they want. If you can get more, if you can get 200 hours, 300 hours, that's great. Just make sure you're not doing these extreme amount of hours for nothing. Really take away some things, put yourself in environments that you're going to be really fascinated and kind of exposed to different things that you didn't know about. Hardin-Simmons does require a record of service and leadership in the last 3 years. So this is important for any applicant, not even if you're interested in Hardin-Simmons. It's really important that during your undergrad and just your time getting ready to apply to PT school that you are doing some volunteer work. Like we talked about last night with Kinetic Kids, that was a really good resource for all y'all in the society, because that's just an excellent program to get some good records of service and then also get some experience with that. And then leadership as well. The society is a great way to do it. You can step up really easily, become an active member, take roles, possibly run for an officer position. So just remember that volunteer and leadership does make you stand out as an applicant, not just to Hardin-Simmons, but to all schools. So
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
I have a question. What does it mean hours in one or two settings?
So you in 1 and 2 settings. So if you were just shadowing in a sports clinic, you can stay in that sports clinic. But in another setting, you could do like a geriatric, you could do an inpatient, outpatient. So it just wants to show variety of the different patients you see. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Okay. So for Hardin-Simmons, the graduation rate is 98%, which is still fairly high. What's really unique about this program is that you do get hands-on work within the first week. So that's really fast. Some other programs wait a little bit. Some programs wait till maybe the second semester of PT school, but Hardin-Simmons gets you going within the first week, which is really nice. You do get to choose your rotations. I'm not sure the extremes of that. You probably do like, I prefer this first and like, this is my last choice, but they do take in account of your rotations and what you want to do. It's a very service-oriented program. Like we said, they want a record of all your service and leadership work. So they're really focused on giving back to the community and helping out and just working together as a program. All right, so Texas State. This is located in Round Rock, Texas. So for those who like Austin as a possible place to spend the next 3 years at, maybe look at Texas State. They're looking for a 3.0 GPA. The GRE I could not find, so aim for at least a 300. Letters of observation, could not find, so aim for 3. Observation, I could not find. A solid observation amount would be 80 hours, I would say 80 or 100. Just really try, it really just comes down to, did you take the effort to really observe a clinic and see the flow of things behind the scenes? Yeah, so like I said, Texas State's website was probably the worst website. It was very confusing. I'm not sure if any of y'all have seen it, but it's an absolute maze. So I left a QR link right there for any of y'all that want to dig a little deeper. But I did find that they do admit an average of 40 students. So that's a pretty good amount, still very competitive like the rest of these programs. And that their curriculum contains 9 continuous semesters starting in the summer. So I would recommend for this program to schedule a tour just because of the confusion I personally had with this website. And I'm sure a lot of people do because I feel like it lacks a lot of information. So I would highly recommend scheduling a tour or reaching out to an admissions director about this program if you're interested. Next up is Texas Tech. The main campus is located in Lubbock. They're looking for a 3.0 or higher. GRE, they don't have a minimum, but it is required. So even though they don't have a set score of what they want, try to do your best because it could set you apart from other applicants, but it is just required. Letters of observation, just 2. For those that stress out about getting letters of recommendation, this one's probably one you want to focus on just because they ask for 2. Observation, they ask for 50. So this campus is very, it stood out to me because they take 72 students average each year, which is really high compared to a lot of different programs. There are 3 campuses, one in Lubbock, Odessa, and Amarillo. And what happens is everyone starts in Lubbock for their first semester, and then after that, the students get separated and go to the various campuses. So that's probably why they accept so many students, because they have 3 different campuses to work with and everything. But what's really interesting that I found on their website, the first summer includes a cadaver dissection in Lubbock. So that's really interesting because the cadaver, as y'all know, it's kind of like a dissection of an actual human body. That's really unique because I feel like that's pretty advanced and pretty early on to introduce a cadaver in such a intense dissection. So for y'all that really want to get hands-on and really get into it really fast, maybe look at Texas Tech. The only thing that was something I thought was kind of like a turn off was maybe the locations. Odessa, Amarillo, Lubbock, they're kind of like in the middle of nowhere, but you know, it's worth it. School is school. I did leave the QR link right there to check it out a little more. This one is really good to maybe apply to just because of such a high acceptance rate for each cycle. Next up is Texas Women's. There are 2 locations, one in Dallas and one in Houston. They ask for a 3.0 GPA or higher. The GRE, they don't have a minimum score, but it is required. So like I said, try to aim for a 300, just do the best you can. Letters, they require 3, observation 80 hours. So this program has a Doctor of Physical Therapy to PhD fast track program. If you're interested in possibly getting your PhD after physical therapy, this school does have a fast track program after that. So what's unique about this school is they do have a women's health certification program. So if you're interested in maybe leaning towards the women's health area, kind of specializing in that, I would recommend maybe looking at Texas Women's. The 2 locations, like I said, are Dallas and Houston. I actually am very interested in this school. It might be one of my top choices. So Dallas, I heard that, Houston is kind of, the location of it is like right in a medical center. So this means that you see a lot of patients. You can go do like different clinical rotations within Houston. It's just very heavy patient flow. So it's a lot of observation and experience with that. While as Dallas, I think what they had was a lot of different certifications you can complete while you're in physical therapy school. So that's something to keep in mind of just when it comes to different campuses, because they do offer different things and like different locations as well. Texas Women's also has different areas of research regarding falls, geriatric, orthopedics, post-polio syndrome, stroke survivors, and underserved populations. So this is for someone who really wants to be curious, like shows curiosity in the field, really wants to expand knowledge. I do believe this program is very research heavy based. So if you're really interested in kind of formulating your own questions and seeing like the effects of everything, maybe this is the program for you. The QR link is right there. Next up, we have Incarnate Word. This is in San Antonio. I actually just had my interview last Saturday, and I kid you not, it took me 10 minutes to get there from UTSA. So super close. If you're not looking to find a new apartment, find a new lease and all that, not ready to move or anything, this one might be the best suggestion. It's literally 10 minutes away. They ask for a 3.0 for GPA, and then for the GRE, they ask for a 150 on both sections. Letters of recommendation 3, observation 50 from 2 different locations. So this school seems, I know a lot of people get upset about the tuition because it is a private institution, so it's a little higher. I will say that they are very helpful with financial aid and everything. They'll help you out. what's really unique about this school is that they have a clinic on their campus. So right inside the facility, it's one building. There's a clinic right as you walk in. So what's really unique about this program is that they really focus on helping people that can't afford physical therapy, the more vulnerable community, the more underserved. And what they do is they have their physical therapy students working in these clinics, helping people that can't usually afford physical therapy. So they get their treatment for free. And not only do they get treatment, the students get like full on clinic experience working with people, working with a different demographics of like people they wouldn't really be able to work with in like their rotations after physical therapy. So that's really awesome. I think that's something that really made this program stand out because of course you can practice with your like your cohorts and everything, but having a clinic on site really just sets you further and just makes your observation and your hands-on experience even like to the next level and everything. This school has rolling admissions, so not technically rolling admissions, but the earlier you apply, the faster you'll hear back from them. So they kind of take your application and they'll let you know right away, like, hey, like we want you to have an interview, but then they'll wait a while to let you know if you got in or not. So like rolling admissions, sort of. Better to submit this application early. It really focuses on diversity. What they said in the tour really stood out to me was that this is a school in San Antonio. We want a school that looks and represents San Antonio. San Antonio is like a very diverse city. We're really inclusive. We want to show like a school in San Antonio and represent San Antonio within our program. They're also very service-based. So like I said, with the on-site clinic, they do a lot of volunteer work. This includes mission trips with other schools. So like the nursing school, the med school, PT school, OT school. They also work with Kinetic Kids. So if you love that program, maybe look at this. They also they volunteer with Special Olympics. And another thing is about this program is that they do a problem-based learning style, which is very different. It really focuses on the student being creative and kind of not being given the answer, but work their way to the answer. So the director was saying that a lot of schools are looking at this because it actually engages the students more instead of, having them memorize stuff. So if you're more of a person that wants a lecture, that wants notes, like, hey, tell me this and that, maybe don't look at the school as much. But if you're one that wants your mind picked a lot and you kind of work your way up to the answer, this seems like a really good program for you. So just keep that in mind. So that's Incarnate Word. Next up is Mary Hardin Baylor. This location is in Galveston. They asked for a 3.2 GPA or more. The GRE is not required. So if you're just like, I don't want to take the test, I stink at taking tests, this is the school for you. They asked for 3 letters of recommendation, and they asked for 40 hours of observation. So this is a 28-month program, which is actually a little shorter. I believe most programs are around like 32, 34. So if you kind of want it like one and done, like in and out, maybe look at this. There's a 12-month neurologic residency program. So if you're kind of interested in the neuro side, this might be a school that kind of draws you in just because they do have this residency program after. The average GPA to get in is a 3.54. So although it did say 3.2, really just try to get a more competitive GPA, kind of like 3.5 and up, just to make yourself stand out. There's the QR code to their website. Next up is the University of North Texas. The location is in Fort Worth. They asked for a 3.0 GPA. The GRE is not required. So for those that don't like test taking, here's another one for you. They asked for 2 letters of recommendation and observation hours. I was not able to find, so I would just recommend 80 or 100. So this school does do rolling admission. So if you are the one that wants to get your application done, wants to hear back right away, look into this program just because not all schools have rolling admissions. A lot of it's a waiting game. This one also has no restriction on time completed prerequisites. So this is for anyone that's older. If you graduated college like 7 years ago, they're not going to be like, oh, we can't take your prereqs or anything. So I really like that about this program because there's no time limit. You received an education. I feel like that's pretty fair that you should be able to apply to this program. So what's interesting about this too is that they don't require the courses of biomechanics. I think it was exercise physiology. I think I just put exercise, my bad. I will look at that again. Or statistics or medical terminology. which shocked me because biomechanics plays such a heavy role in physical therapy, but this school does not require it. So maybe if you were struggling a bit in biomechanics or it's not your favorite subject, look at this program. I'm assuming it's because they have a very good curriculum surrounding these different prereqs. So there's the QR link again. University of St. Augustine, this is located in Austin. They're looking for a 3.0 GPA or higher. The GRE I looked up for the average applicant to get in was around 294 or 305. So if you aim for 300, hopefully you get a little higher. Letters, I could not find. Observation, 80 hours. So what's nice about this program is that it's a hybrid in-person online program. So if you are a huge Zoom advocate and really like the COVID style, half online, half in person, maybe look at University of St. Augustine. So they have a residential program of 131 hours, 8 trimesters, and it takes 2.7 years. So it's a little short than the average PT school that takes 3 years. There's also a flex program that's 131 hours as well, 12 trimesters and 4 years. So if you kind of want to go at a slower pace, maybe this might be a great program because it does offer 2 different paces basically. So it's the same content, just different amount of time. There are also locations in California and Florida if you're interested in maybe going out of state and also just really like the hybrid concept of University of St. Augustine. There's the QR link for y'all. Does anyone have any questions? I see the chat kind of going up, but if y'all want to ask anything right now. Okay, so next, I'm sure y'all are all waiting for this one, the University of Texas Health Science Center here in San Antonio. They asked for a 3.2 GPA or higher. For the GRE, there's a 150 on both sections. Letters, you have a minimum of 2, but 3 recommended. So I say 3, get 3 letters. Observation, 50 hours. So what stands out about UT Health? They have 30-week clinicals, a 4-week specialty rotation. There's personal counseling offered to their students. So I think that's really nice, especially if you're one that gets really overwhelmed, really stressed with school. It just shows that they really care about their students, that they're going to be there for them. What's also nice is that they have a sports and recreation activities. So I'm believing it's student-based. So if you really like being competitive, like kind of taking a break from outside of school, you do have an option here at UT Health to join like sports and recreation activities among your cohorts. And then also there's student organizations. So it's more of kind of like a college field, but PT school. So if you're looking for more of a social environment, kind of like really throwing yourself in there, getting to know your cohorts and everything, like this might be a great opportunity for you. Also, if you want to stay local, this is another school. Next up is the University of Texas at El Paso, located in El Paso. I don't know if y'all attended the El Paso meeting we had with the admissions director a week or 2 ago, but that was really informative. But if not, let me sum it up to the best I can. So the GPA that they require is a 3.0 or more. The GRE does not have a minimum, but it is required. Letters of recommendation, they ask for 3, and then observation, they ask for 50. So what El Paso, I know the location might be like, oh, why would I want to be in El Paso? But I am a strong advocate for El Paso just because of how they have a Spanish integration program. So what they do basically, it's not required. So you have an option if you want to partake in this program. And then what's also nice is it's a pass or fail. It's not going to like harm you at all from your grades and anything. But basically El Paso tries to teach their students how to conduct a full evaluation in Spanish, which I think is very crucial, and especially in the PT world, just being able to communicate with patients regardless of a language barrier. So even if you can't do a full evaluation, but just kind of basic communication, like asking how they are, I think that's really important and overlooked in the PT world. So this is really something that if that's something that really stands out to you, really look into El Paso, just because I think they're the only program in Texas that has this, like one of the very few across the nation as well. There's no interview. So if you don't like the jitters before interviews, this might be another program that sticks out to you. They say that they don't do interviews because they don't want to form bias before selecting their students for the cycle. and it's very community centered. So going back to the Spanish integration program, they do help treat people that live in El Paso that can't really afford physical therapy. They help treat them, and then they also just give back a lot. So yeah, this is a great program with the Spanish and then the service-based morals and values they have. So there's a QR link for that. Next up is the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, location Galveston. They're asking for a 3.0 GPA or more. The GRE does not have a minimum, but it is required. The letters, 3 letters, observation, 80 hours. So why me? So this school does have rolling admissions as well. So like I said, if you're one that just really wants to hear back immediately, look into this program. This one also has the bridge program from a PTA physical therapist assistant to a physical therapist. So if you're leaning more towards going to the PTA route, look at the school, because if you change your mind, you have a program right there that can get you to be a physical therapist. This is also a hybrid program, so it allows a lot of flexibility. It doesn't require you living in Galveston. So if you kind of want to like be online for part of it and kind of have that flexibility of your living situation and everything, look into this program. Next up is the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center. This location is in Dallas. They asked for a 3.0 GPA. The GRE is also not, it's also required, but they don't have a minimum. 3 letters in observation hours I could not find, so aim for around 80 or 100. So this is a 31-month program. There's a 99% licensure pass rate. So it shows that they really care. They're really good teachers. They're going to teach their students what they need to know, so they didn't go to PT school for nothing and not be able to practice after. Each semester is 12 to 16 hours, which I thought was pretty low. That sounds like kind of nice if you kind of want a not stressful, like heavy loaded semester, maybe look into this program, because 12 to 16 hours sounds pretty nice. And they have a strong emphasis on work in the community. So very service oriented. If that's something that really stands out to you and really draws you, just helping the community as you're doing PT school, look into this program. So yeah, those are all the schools that I researched and everything. I hope this was pretty informative. Like I said in my 15 tips, like really take into account of your personal wants and needs. If you want a program that focuses on giving back to the community, look into those schools that I mentioned and highlighted. If you're looking for a program that really takes value in the culture that's around them, like El Paso with the Spanish program, look into that. It's really about your own personal preferences. So that goes with the GRE, the letters of recommendation. No one knows yourself the way you do. So if you're someone that has test anxiety, maybe look into the schools that don't require the GRE. If you're someone that is worried about getting letters of recommendation, look at the schools that require less. So I hope this provided some good information along the baselines that each school provides, because there are a lot of options in Texas. And let me tell you, as like we do have a lot of options to choose from in Texas if you're staying in state, but the last thing you would probably want to do is apply to all of them, because that's very tiring. So I tried my best to include a lot of information that kind of narrowed things down for all of y'all. So I hope that was very beneficial. So thank you. I know this was really short, but I didn't want to ramble that much about schools. It's a lot of information. Here's the QR code to do some sign-ins. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I didn't want to make it lengthy just because it's kind of repetitive as far as like the letters of recommendation, the observation hours. I feel like y'all got a like kind of a hold on the pattern that's going on. It's pretty average across. It's just there are different things that make each program stand out. So yeah, thank you so much for coming out. And if y'all have any questions or any comments, like what were y'all's favorite programs? Like, don't be afraid to speak out. But other than that, you can sign in. Let me check the chat real quick. Yes, the last program was the UT Southwest Med Center in Dallas. Yes. And then I will also be uploading this onto our YouTube channel within like the next hour in case you didn't get any of the QR codes.
Hey, Margaret, are you done recording?
Yeah. Here, let me
Okay.
stop right now. Hold on.